In 2016, whilst mudlarking on the River Thames, I came across this brass luggage tag which bears the name F. Jury and the address 72 Woolwich Road, SE10. And because there's all this information on it, I was able to find out a substantial amount about the life of a man named Frederick Jury, who was born in 1873 and who died in 1932. Now, in 1916, Fred was living at 72 Woolwich Road with his wife, Sarah Amelia, and that same year he travelled all the way to Australia to enlist with the Australian Imperial Force to fight in World War I. Although Fred survived the war, he was hit by a grenade and suffered extensive injuries to his foot and to his leg, and he lost several fingers on his right hand. After an operation at Harefield Hospital, Fred was discharged from the army and he received the Silver War Badge. I thought that was the end of the story, but then I was lucky enough to find out where Fred was buried. When I first came to look for Fred's grave, it was a near impossible task because he's actually in the pauper's grave section, which is just here, and as you can see, it's just covered in brambles, so I almost gave up. But I went to see the cemetery keeper and he rolled out a map and we managed to pinpoint Fred's grave, which is actually here. And now, thanks to Dave, one of the cemetery keepers, Fred's grave is kept clear all year long. So I'm able to visit him a couple of times a year, which is what I try to do. And here he is, in loving memory of Frederick, the beloved husband of Millie Jury, who died 27th of January 1932, aged 59. Gone but not forgotten. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to put a few flowers on Fred's grave and remember how he fought in World War I, and it also is a good opportunity to remember everybody else who's fought in World War I and World War II and any war. So I've said it before, but this to me is the essence of mudlarking. When you find a little tag like this with a name on it, and it just opens up the story of somebody before your very eyes. And so that's why it was so special to find Fred's grave and to be able to tell his story, because he never had any children of his own. But there's just one other thing I want to show you. Now, I always knew that Fred's wife, Sarah, was buried here in the cemetery too, or shall we call her Millie, because her middle name was Amelia, so her nickname was Millie. So I always knew she was buried here too, and I tried to find her grave, but without any success. I had the reference number, but I couldn't find it, so I pretty much gave up. But I spoke to Dave, the cemetery keeper, again, and earlier this year I got an email from him saying that they had found Sarah's grave, which was not that far from Fred at all. I'm going to show you where it is, but that there was nothing on it, no stone or anything. And he asked me if I'd like to go and see it. And of course I did. So he took me to see it, and come and take a look at Millie's grave. And here she is. And as I said, there was no stone on Sarah's grave. There was nothing at all. And I was so touched to find out that Dave and his colleague who work here at the cemetery had actually made, or had made, this little wooden cross for Sarah Jury, who died on the 14th of March 1936. And I'm so grateful to them for doing that, because it may sound a little bit strange, but I always had a sense that Fred wanted to know where his wife was. And so now, being able to find Sarah's grave like this, they're really not very far away from each other, and it's just very special. It sort of completes the story. And Sarah, this rose is from Fred.